Can you hear me? Yes, Ibrahim. How are you? Are you having some network issue? Okay.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. All good?
Yes, sir.
Where others only you have joined? Okay, see. Um, we will continue with the format as we have done some questions from reproduction in animals. Today we'll be doing some questions from the chapter Age of Adolescence. Okay, Age of Adolescence. By the way, I got the syllabus which you have shared. Thanks for sharing it. So, from the chapter Age of Adolescence, let's do some questions. Age of Adolescence. Let's start. Read the questions and answer it. And answer it in the class only, not in the chat box.
B.
Option number B. B. Okay. Next,
B.
that is testosterone. Good. Can you tell me what are the effects of testosterone on the human body, particularly the male body?
Facial health. Facial hair.
Hmm.
Growth in height.
Okay.
Growth of Adam's apple.
Okay. And
Broadening shoulders.
broadening of shoulders. And we know that testosterone particularly helps in buildup of the muscles, right? In the muscle buildup also they help. So studies have shown that testosterone increases the muscle mass. Getting it now? How it does so? Basically, it increases the production of the protein in the muscles. Thereby, it increases the muscle mass. Okay. Next, which of the following is a change that occurs in girls during adolescence?
Development of breast.
Good. Further, what is the role of the pituitary gland during adolescence?
B.
Very good. It releases growth and puberty related hormones. Okay, next.
A.
Can you tell me why is the pituitary gland called as master gland?
It controls the secretion of all other hormones.
Hmm. Okay, so it will be basically. Can you explain this? How it controls the secretion of many of the other glands and also controls the bodily functions with some example? Like as we have learned about the male and the female gonads, respectively, the testis and the ovary, particularly in the male's testis. Um, so does pituitary gland control the secretion of testis in any way?
Yes.
Mhm. So how does it does so? Like it's as we have discussed that it's primarily responsible for controlling the secretion of hormones from the testis, right? So it will be basically directly regulating how much of hormone and when the hormone should be released by the testis, right? Also, we see that in a way it will also control the production of the sperms also. Getting it? So they are acting as the master gland in this process. Same thing in the case of female body also. Fifth question, what's the answer?
A.
That is A, to prevent infections and body odor. Good. Adolescence is the period of transition from
Childhood to adulthood.
Hmm. Next, the hormone responsible for changes in boys during adolescence status.
Testosterone,
Good. Next,
estrogen,
estrogen. Okay, so the question is saying that, sorry, question says that the development of breast is triggered by the hormone. Okay, as we have learned that in the girls there are two primary hormones responsible for bringing the changes in their body, right? You have the progesterone and you have the estrogen. Okay, progesterone and estrogen, both of them have got different functions to perform. Okay, as for the estrogen particularly, estrogen is the hormone that is particularly responsible for bringing about the secondary sexual changes in their body. Also, it regulates the menstrual cycle in the female. But the progesterone hormone is the hormone that is primarily responsible for supporting pregnancy. During the time of pregnancy, the secretion of progesterone increases. Getting it? So, in a way, both of them are working. Okay, both of them are working. And where are these hormones produced, by the way? Progesterone and estrogen, where are they produced? Yes,
in like ovules,
ovules, ovaries now. Ovaries, you should be saying, okay. In the ovaries, progesterone and estrogen are produced. Next question.
pituitary gland,
That's a pituitary gland. Next,
mood swing,
mood swing. It's the process. Question is the
oh, wait,
process of physical and emotional changes during adolescence is called physical as well as emotional changes. Mhm. Mood swing is a different thing. It is one of the observation made that we one of the thing that we observe in the adolescence. I think we can call this as puberty. It is, it will be included in the puberty, I would say. Okay, although puberty is basically when the sexual changes takes place in the body, when the reproductive organs have matured. Answer the question: why do boys and girls experience different physical changes during adolescence? Explained with reference to hormones.
like they undergo adolescence, they undergo physical changes during adolescence so that they achieve sexual maturity and they will be capable of doing reproduction.
The question here says that they experience different physical changes. Why is it so, and how it is related to the hormones that is produced in their body? As we know that, okay, take your time. I know you'd be able to answer this. The physical outlook of a male is different from that of a female. Particularly, it is observable once they have reached the age of adolescence. While they are still a kid, like 6, 7, 8 years, so it is hard to distinguish. But once they have acquired the age of 14, 15, 17, 18, then the
we can
physical
differentiate
differences obviously continue.
we can like differentiate between male and female.
Okay, we can differentiate. Okay, so it has got to do with something with the hormones or not? And different types of hormones are secreted in their body now. The physical outlook of a male is different from a female because of the hormones, different hormones that is secreted in their body. Getting it? As for the as for the male's physical appearance is different from the female's because we see that. significantly higher amount of testosterone is present in the male body in comparison to the females. In the female body we have estrogen and progesterone, right? So we see that particularly the testosterone, that is the male sex hormone, is responsible for the development of the male secondary sexual characteristics like the facial hairs, the deeper voice, broader shoulders, and increase in the muscle mass in the body, right? As for the estrogen, estrogen is the primary, it's the main female sex hormone which influences the features in the body like the wider hips, breast development, and a softer facial appearance. Getting what I'm trying to say, Ibrahim? So the physical features of a male is influenced by the testosterone. As for the female, the widening of the hip, development of the breast, or soft facial features, it is because of the estrogen. Got this now? How it is related to the hormones? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Also, you know that if in some female higher amount of testosterone is found in the puberty, when they have during the puberty, when higher amount of testosterone is found, so it will be impacting their physical development and they will have a more physical, more muscular physique in comparison to other females. Getting what I'm trying to say? Okay. Also, it is observed that many a times female gymnasts should be, I would say, or like female athletes, female wrestlers should be taking testosterone in order to improve their muscle mass and performance in the sport. Getting what I'm trying to say? Although they should not take this because it is considered as a performance enhancing drug, and in most of the sport it is banned. Okay, now so female athletes, even if they are wrestlers, so many times if they would be cheating in the sport, they would be taking the testosterone to increase the muscle mass, to improve the performance in the sport, but it has negative health consequences. Okay, anyways, next question. How does proper nutrition and hygiene impact the overall health and development of an adolescent? Yeah, Ibrahim, turn your camera on.
Okay.
Hmm.
Proper nutrition is important so that hormones are secreted, and hygiene is important because so that the body doesn't get infected during this stage.
Okay, you can add few more points in this. Adolescents particularly requires proper nutrition. A balanced diet is required as the body is still in the developing phase, right? The body is the adolescence is a very crucial stage where proper nutrition and well balanced diet is important because of the rapid physical growth of the body. Right now the body is still growing, the height is increasing, the muscle mass is increasing. So at this period of time, adequate amount of nutrition is required by the body. So body requires enough amount of protein, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and healthy type of fats are required by the body to support the healthy growth. Okay. Also, we see that teenagers experiences a significant growth spurt. Okay, no, they experience a significant growth spurt. Many times, that there will be stretch marks in the shoulders, in the hands, in the adolescent. You understand what I'm trying to say? The stretch marks, particularly in the shoulders, many times it is visible during the age of adolescence, particularly over this region. The stretch marks are visible.
Yes, sir.
Hmm? So, hope you're able to relate. So, it is because of the rapid growth that is taking place, because of the growth spurt, right? So, the rapid growth of the muscles of the body requires more energy and more nutrients to support the muscle and the bone development. That is why. Okay. And hygiene, obviously, as it can lead to bacterial infection. Okay. So, thereby, hygiene is important. Next, third question.
Uh, they uh, they experience mood swings and emotional changes because the amount of changes going in their body, and
And
because of these emotional changes, they like don't like to interact with other people. They mostly stay alone.
okay, it happens. And social factors, how do they contribute to this change? One thing is happening internally inside the body, but there is some social factors also. Okay, peer pressure, um, friend circles, pressure from the friend circles or the families and all that. So that also contributes to this change, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next, why is it important to educate adolescents about reproductive health and personal hygiene?
So that they get good health, like take care of themselves.
Hmm. Okay. So we see that it is important for the adolescents to take care of the reproductive health and also the personal hygiene. It is primarily, it is main thing. Basically, during the age of adolescence, the body is experiencing so much of changes, right? The body is growing, it is reaching a sexual maturity, and it can affect the person's health and well-being for the future, for many years to come, right? So cleanliness is important. One should wash their hand regularly, bath and shower daily, and wash their clothes, exercise, get enough amount of sleep, have a balanced diet. Particularly in the case of females, education about the menstrual hygiene is very important. They should practice good menstrual hygiene. Uh, so that is one thing. Then, in the case of men, facial hairs would be growing, armpit in both male and female. This growth of hair under the armpits, right? So shaving or keeping them clean is important, particularly in case of reproductive health. So like it is in this manner, it is seen that as the reproductive organs would be maturing along with the bodies maturing and growing through a phase of transition, so is the reproductive organs also going through a phase of transition. So thereby adequate amount of education must be given to the children as this phase of change is normal. Okay. How can peer pressure influence an adolescent's behavior? Yeah. How can the peer pressure affect the adolescent's behavior? And what are the strategies that can help them to make the right choices?
Like under pressure, adolescents should like might not choose the right option, or like
Mhm.
under the pressure they would choose something wrong.
Mm. And what strategies would you suggest
Think and
to
process the question and then answer.
Mm. Good. So as we see that peer pressure during the age of adolescence can significantly impact the behavior by it can influence the teens to engage in some activities like they can skip the school or can make the poor decisions to fit in with their peers, to fit in with their friend circles, right? And this can potentially harm their academic performance. Not only the academic performance, can harm the mental health, right? Can they can have this FOMO, fear of missing out, right? So it can harm their academic performance, mental health, and all that. But however, there are strategies in order to to combat this, right? One should develop a strong self-esteem. One should have self-assertive communication skills. One should have a positive attitude. Getting it? And they should also understand the consequences of their action, how it will affect them, how it will affect their family, their friends, etc. Also, it is important to stay in a supportive network, to stay in the company of good people. Okay. And also learn to say no when you are faced with negative peer pressure. Correct. So that's the case. I have one more question. Explain to me about the sex determination. How is the sex of the unborn baby determined?
When the male and female gamete fuse together, there are chromosomes in the male gamete and the female gamete. The male gamete has either XY, and the male gamete has either X or Y, and the female gamete has XX. So when a Y gamete fuses with the X gamete, it results in a male child, and when the X chromosome fuses with the X chromosome, then it results in a male child, a female child.
Okay, good. So the sex of this unborn baby is determined in a manner that when the sperm cell from the father would be fertilizing the egg, okay, from the mother, if the sperm cell happens to be carrying the X chromosome, right? And if it were to fertilize with the ovum that carries the X chromosome, so the child born would be a female. Or if the sperm cell were to be carrying the Y chromosome, and if that were to fertilize with the ovum, the child born uh, will be a male child. So who is to blame for the gender of the child? Like who is responsible for the gender of the unborn child?
Male gamete.
Male parent basically, or the male gamete, right? So the father is responsible for the sex of the unborn child because he contributes either X or Y chromosome to the egg. Getting it? Good. Okay, let's continue with this chapter then. We have done the revision. There were few more topics. Like these were only few questions. In the upcoming classes, I'll be taking many more questions. Like you have the full height calculation type questions and many more things regarding the hormones secreted by other glands in the body. Like you have the thyroid gland, pineal gland, etc. These were the topics, general topics that we have discussed in the chapter Age of Adolescence. About adolescence, we have generally learned that it's basically a phase of transition from childhood to adulthood. Okay. And this phase, the body is going through this phase of transition, respectively, because of the changes in the hormone secretion in their body. Not only the physical changes are taking place in their body, but they are also going through the mental changes, the way how they perceive their surrounding, the way how they think and they carry themselves. All these things are also developing in them. That is one thing. Getting it. Also, we see that after a certain age in their lifetime only, the the people are able for reproduction. So adolescence, it's a time period in life when the body leads to reproductive maturity and experiences some changes. The time period may vary in different individuals depending upon their lifestyle, their diet, etc. Genetic factors also contributes to this in some manner. The adolescence period includes the teenage, and therefore the adolescents are oftentimes called as teenagers. So it's basically a phase of transition where one is going from childhood to an adulthood. So they are standing in the middle of child and being an adult. It typically occurs between the age of 10 to 19. So right now, I would say that you are also a teenager. Okay. Then particularly talking about the puberty, it's that period in the lifetime of an animal, of a human being basically, or an animal, when they become capable of reproduction. So to become capable of reproduction, the primary requirement is the development of the gonads, or basically the sex organs, right? About the difference also, we have learned that how they are different from one another. So adolescence talks about the overall development stage of the person, not only the physical but the emotional and the cognitive and social changes also, right? But puberty is specifically refer only to the physical changes that will lead to the sexual maturity. Okay, that is the case. So there were various changes which you have observed in them when they reach the age of adolescence. Like we have learned that the voice would be deepening. What is the reason behind the deepening of the voice? It's the growth of the larynx, right? The muscles of the larynx would be increasing in size, and hence the voice would be changing. Also, we see that no two persons would be having the same voice, because the shape and the size and the thickness and the elasticity of the larynx for different persons are different. For children, it is different. For adults, it is different. For male and female, it is different. That was one thing. Then there is increased secretion of oil and sweat from the CBSs and the sweat gland, basically. That is also one of the change. So the question is, why is there increase in the sweat and the oil gland when they are when in the age of adolescence, particularly? Is Ibrahim, why the sweating increases in the adolescence?
because of the sebaceous glands
Because of the sebaceous gland, the sweat gland particularly. Okay, but why is it happening?
to prevent the skin from drying.
To prevent the skin from drying. No, no, that is a different thing. That has got to do with some other thing. I am saying that what is the cause behind sweating? What leads to sweating? The obvious reason is that sweating is occurring because the sweat glands becomes more active. But why is the sweat gland becoming more active? Also, particularly the sweat glands in the armpits becomes more active in the case of adolescence. In the armpits, there also it becomes very active. Hmm? See, basically, when when we are in a state of so much of excitement, extreme amount of excitement, or so much of nervousness, right? Or our body is exposed to so much of heat, or in some cases, particularly, it has got to do with the hormonal influence. Like, we have testosterone, so which increases during puberty, and this testosterone stimulates the sweat gland to produce more sweat. Getting it now? One of the main reason is the stimulation of the sweat gland by the testosterone. So they have various reasons for this. Getting it? Okay, now. Also, like, we see that sweating is as a way of a regulation of the body temperature. Also, via sweating we are able to regulate the body temperature, as we are mammals, as we are the warm-blooded animals, so we have this capability of being capable to regulate our body temperature. So via sweating we are also able to cool down our body temperature. Okay, so sweating is the body's mechanism to regulate the temperature. So as we see that there's increased levels of activity during adolescence now, we are doing in we do more physical activity, hence it leads to more sweating. So when we do physical activity, it increases the heat of the body, the temperature of body increases. To bring it back to the normal, we have to sweat. Also, we see that there's increase in height during the age of adolescence. So increase in height primarily occurs because of the elongation of the bones. Particularly the bones of the limbs would be increasing, and hence the height increases. Let me see if you're able to recall this or not. As we have learned about how we can calculate the full height in centimeter. Okay, so you tell me that if the present height, if the present height, suppose there's a boy of 12 years of age, right, and he has acquired 84% of his full height growth. So what will be the full height of that child? The expected full height.
Like current height by the total percentage, the percentage of full height at this.
Okay, find it out then in
Can you
terms of
like repeat the
question was, if there's a boy of 12 years, okay, and has acquired a height of 84%, what will be the total height? What will be the full height of that boy?
You did not give like the current height.
Y- Not the current height. What will be the current height is given? No, 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 the current height I didn't give. No, yeah, that is also required. Suppose if that the current height is, suppose if it is 160 centimeter. Hmm, That's the current height. Take this value and based on this, solve it.
Boy or girl?
It's the boy, and age is 12 years.
190 centimeter.
190 centimeter. Okay. So present age is 12 years. How much of height is acquired by the age of 12? It is 84%, right? Okay. You're getting 190, right? Good.
Yes.
In whom, like in the boys, out of the boys and the girls, whose height grows initially faster?
Girl.
It's the girl child whose height grows initially faster. Later on, the boys would catch up and the boy's height would be growing more in comparison to that of the girl. Okay. Why is it that the height of family members are generally same? What's the reason behind this?
Genetic.
It's the genetics, right? So as we see that height is basically a factor determined by the genetics of the person. Many times we get to see such videos where it is told that via so and so medicine, via such and such type of exercise, the height can be tremendously increased. But that is not very true. Although it can slightly be increased, very slightly. Okay. But we see that height is determined by the genetic of the person. You know, if the parents are shorter, but the children will be shorter. If the parents are tall, in most of the cases, children is also going to be taller. So studies shows that 80% of height of the person is basically controlled by the DNA that they inherit from the parents. That is one thing. So in the family members, generally, the height of the siblings and that of the parents, all of them are generally same, as they are controlled by the genetics that they share. Another change that occurs in adolescence is the development of the sex organs. So particularly what happens, the male and the female organs would mature. They will start the release of the gamete cells, right? The size of the gonads also increases. So that is the development of sex organs. Then we have also learned that the mental, emotional, and intellectual maturity is also reached by the adolescence. So from age 12 to 18 years of age, children would grow in the way how they think, right? How they derive logical operations, how they would be reasoning, how to be making decision. So these things would be changing. These things would start to get mature. Okay, that is the case. Further, we have also learned that one of the obvious change that occurs in the body is the development of the glands and the secretion of hormones, particularly. So the secretion of glands by different hormones particularly increases. We have also learned about the sexual characters, development of the sexual characters. There are two types of sexual characters in development. One is the primary, another is the secondary. Primary sexual characters that develops in their body is basically the development of the sexual organs in their body. As for the secondary sexual characteristics that is developing in their body, it has got to do with the development of the facial hairs in the male, growth of hair on the chest, under the armpit and pubic region. As for the girls, it's the breast, development of breast, widening of the hip, growth of hair under the arms and pubic area. Right. So it's the change that is occurring in both of them, and because of them, we are able to distinguish between them. Sorry. It is because of that we're able to distinguish between the gender, whether it's a male or female. Getting it? Further, the question is that how the changes in the human body occur at the time of puberty and what are hormones basically. Read the given paragraph.
Hormones are chemicals that coordinate different functions in your body by carrying messages through your blood to your organs, skins, muscles, and other tissues. These signals tell your body what to do and when to. Hormones are essential for life and your health.
So can we say that the hormones are kind of chemical messengers? Yeah. They'd be carrying messages to different parts of the body, isn't it? So they are kind of chemical messengers that would be coordinating the different functions in your body. Okay. Like if the brain has to send some messages to a particular organ, to a muscle, or to the tissues, so thereby it will be doing so with the help of the hormones. Getting it? Say, for example, when we see that when we consume too much of sugar, so can you tell me that when we consume too much of sugar, which hormone is secreted?
Insulin.
Insulin, right? So the pancreas would be releasing the insulin in order to regulate your blood sugar level. But who commanded the pancreas to secrete the insulin? It's the
Pituitary
brain.
gland.
It's, yeah, pituitary gland, you would say, right? So basically, pituitary gland would be with the help of some hormones should be sending the message to the pancreas to secrete the insulin. So all the functions are kind of coordinated by the help of the hormones. Okay. So they will tell your body what to do and when to do it. So they are essential for life and for our overall health. So these hormones are secreted by basically structures called as glands. Okay. So question goes to this that what are glands? What are glands? What are they basically?
Organs which secrete a certain type of hormones.
Hmm. So they are basically the organs that would be secreting different things, not only hormones, but apart from that, they also secrete a variety of other things. Like you have sweat gland. Sweat gland secretes sweat, basically. Tear gland secretes tear. Mammary gland secretes milk, right? Salivary gland secretes saliva. Digestive glands in the stomach secretes digestive juices. So glands are basically the organs, or basically they would be organs that secretes different substances in the body. That could be hormone, sweat, milk, tear, saliva, digestive juices, etc. Now we have two groups of the glands. Can you differentiate between them, the exocrine and the endocrine gland? How are they different from one another? Yes. How is the exocrine different from endocrine gland?
Exocrine are like all other glands which are like not related to like
Hmm?
puberty, and endocrine glands are basically which mainly acts in puberty.
No, no, that is not the basis of classification. It has got to do with the thing that where the secretions are being sent. Is it being sent onto the surface of the body? Are the secretions coming out of the surface of the body? Or basically, is it going directly into the blood or not? So that is the thing. That is the basis of classification. Okay. See, as for the exocrine gland, in the left diagram, the tear glands are there in the eyes. So where is the tear coming? Is the tear going into the blood or coming onto the surface of the body? Hmm? Obviously onto the surface of the body, right? Salivary gland in the mouth secretes saliva. Getting it? So the secretions of the exocrine gland are not going directly into the blood. Are not going directly into the blood. As for the endocrine gland, their secretions directly goes into the blood. Got it? No? Getting it? So as for this, sorry, the pituitary gland secretes the growth hormone, right? Uh, Thyroid gland secretes thyroxine hormone. You have the adrenal gland secretes the adrenal hormone, adrenaline basically. Pancreas secretes the insulin. Ovaries would be secreting progesterone and estrogen. Testis secretes the testosterone. So all these hormones are basically going directly into the blood. But as for the exocrine, they are not. One more important thing is that in the case of exocrine gland, we see that they have a duct-like system, tube-like structures are present in their body. So thereby, they are the exocrine glands whose secretions are not going directly into the blood and they have a tube-like structure via which the secretions will come to the body surface. But as for the endocrine gland, their secretion goes directly into the blood and they will be majorly, um, they are not being transported to the blood via the tube-like structures. That is the case. Okay. Read the given paragraph.
What are pituitary glands? There are pituitary glands in the body switch control and the production of the hormones by endocrine gland in both males and as well as females.
Where exactly is the pituitary gland present?
Like below the brain.
In the brain, you would say. Okay. In the brain, we would say. Now, question is that how the hormones would be initiating the reproductive function, what role they play. So we see that the pituitary gland would be secreting hormones. Sorry. So I was saying that the pituitary gland would be secreting some hormones that will stimulate the testes and ovaries to release the hormones, respectively release testosterone in male and estrogen in female. And since the testis and the ovary, they are endocrine gland now, so they where will they secrete the testosterone and progesterone or estrogen? Directly into the blood, isn't it? Directly into the blood, no, right? And then the blood will carry it to the target site. Wherever would be the target site, the blood would be carrying it. So the target site here is basically the site of the body where the changes would be visible. The target site would be the part of the body where the hormones will go and it will bring about some changes. Getting it? Like for example, we see that when the puberty starts, so like we see that there is more sweating now. So the testosterone hormone via the blood will go to the sweat glands and will stimulate it to produce more sweat. Getting it how it works? Similarly, it will be carried by the blood to the muscles and to the bones, and the development of the muscles and bones will take place for the. As for the estrogen, it will be carried to the mammary gland. The mammary gland will start to grow bigger in size. So that is how the hormones would be responsible for initiating the reproductive function. Okay, read this.
Reproductive phase of life in humans. The ability of production of gametes in human lasts until certain time period only. The time period varies between females and males.